Hey viewers, a quick side note before you dive in. I did not know this before I created the introduction to today's video, but this is actually going to be part one of two. The video ended up being a little longer, so I split it into two parts. Part two is my absolute favorite, so definitely be on the lookout for that one. I hope you enjoy this teaser image of Padme Abeloth. Here we go. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Argue with the Droid, aka ChatGPT, or Grok. We may switch around and do other AIs, I'm not sure. But for today, I'm going to dive into a topic that came up in our first video where Anakin, Leia, and Luke become replacements for the Celestials. I'm really excited about this one. It was such a fascinating concept. Also, thank you all if you watched for the love on my last video and all the comments. I love this stuff. This has been so much fun for me. This is long form content, and I know this is TikTok, but right now I'm not going to make any changes. So buckle up and let's dive right in. Very good, everyone. So we are back, and I have set up a brand new project within ChatGPT. This project is specifically for the channel, and I've provided custom instructions. I'm happy to share those with you if maybe you're interested in doing something similar. So let me know below if you'd like me to show the instructions or to share those publicly, and I can make a video on that or send them to you. Here is our prompt. We are, again, proceeding with Anakin, Luke, and Leia becoming the Celestials. And then I've also added something else. So here's what it says. We are in a new timeline. Anakin defeats Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Padme survives. A couple of years pass, and Anakin kills Palpatine, replacing him as the Emperor. Anakin and Padme raise Luke and Leia. However, here's what I especially want to explore. What if Anakin, Luke, and Leia replace the Celestials? Ooh, let's add an S there. Or the ones, right? What happens to Padme if that occurs? I wonder if, in her grief, she becomes Abeloth. This is kind of a deep lore from Legends pull, so hopefully you all know who Abeloth is, and if not, we can do more on that. What do you think, droid? And away we go. So we're using ChatGPT 5. Let's see what the droid says. Oh, now this is the kind of timeline where the Force itself gets nervous. Okay. If Anakin kills Obi-Wan, then Palpatine and crowns himself Emperor, the Skywalker dynasty isn't just ruling the galaxy, it's shaping the metaphysical balance. You're suggesting the real escalation, the Skywalker stepping into the role of the ones, the father, son, and daughter. That's not just family drama, that's a cosmic hostile takeover. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that until the events that we have just redefined taking place basically in Revenge of the Sith, where, again, Obi-Wan is killed by Anakin, and then Anakin also kills the Emperor, Padme survives. Other than that, I'm assuming everything else is staying the same. So at this point, all three of the ones have been killed. The father, the son, and the daughter. They have been killed. They died, at least in the Clone Wars. So there is kind of a power vacuum in terms of these metaphysical beings. And originally they wanted Anakin to become or to take the place of the father. He was the only one who could do it, and ultimately, in a very different way, bring balance to the Force. So in this timeline, Anakin, as the father, the so-called balance, except his balance would be authoritarian. He wouldn't be the serene meditator Mortis needed. He'd impose order with fire and saber. The galaxy becomes a test bed for his warped sense of equilibrium. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Luke as the son, the dark temptation incarnate. Even raised by Anakin, Luke would still have the gnawing, insatiable curiosity for the forbidden. I'm not really sure he ever had that, you know? Right? Like Luke really never had an insatiable curiosity for the forbidden. He wanted to explore the galaxy. He wanted to be off Tatooine. Of course, he got way more than he bargained for in the original series, but with his father's power behind him, this fall would be almost inevitable. He'd become something darker than Vader ever was because he wouldn't be broken. He'd be whole in his darkness. Yeah, how though? right? How does Luke become, how does he become this, basically the embodiment of darkness? Leia as the daughter, which of course makes sense given her character, the luminous one, the counterbalance, but her light would be angry, not serene. Why is that? Leia doesn't do passive compassion. I agree. Her version of light would be all righteous fury, justice with teeth. Imagine her wielding the cosmic power of the daughter, but focused like a blade instead of a balm. Yeah. Yeah, Leia is like the diplomat. So I feel like Luke and Leia both, at least in their original development, they're both such pure characters. Luke does have some temptations to the dark side, but in my opinion, they're kind of mild. I mean, well, of course, in Return of the Jedi, there's that outburst of anger that ultimately helps him to defeat Vader. But other than that, it seems as if their temptation, at least Luke's temptations, are quite mild, and Leia doesn't really ever. It's not really ever shown that she struggles with darkness. So I guess it would make sense that she's the daughter.